Hello. Hello. In this video, well, I'm going to talk about this guy called Charlie on Instagram, Charlie Kent. So, what's what is really strange is he's claimed to be a Christian, but what I find bizarre is that he's been cursing on text, so obviously that claim is invalid. Furthermore, what he said is in January of 2026 that he gave his life to God, and I've shown the screenshots. Well, obviously he didn't, because if he really did, he wouldn't be text swearing again, to my utter disbelief and shock about a few days ago. Anyway, so see, this is the contradiction. I mean, was he lying before? Possibly. I think personally he was lying. I mean, I've heard the same story before by many other people who have claimed, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm a changed man. So many people have claimed this and have failed miserably. Now, maybe it could also be that he was secretly just an atheist pretending and just saying that to let me back, to try to gain my trust again so he could, spring the surprise. As does, happen with many trolls. They just try to gain your trust before, springing their bombshell, jack in the box, as they say. So, I mean, it's one of two things. It's like, either he was lying or he's just deluding himself anyway. Because there was also a guy called Ryan Anderson who's very famous to do these videos on Christianity, and only, well, in February he just admitted that he got back into cursing. So I'm thinking, well, it doesn't make sense then, because he was supposed to be saved by God. So, big liar anyway. So, I mean, getting back on track. So I personally think that this Charlie was never ever really a Christian. So, I exposed him, as I usually do with trolls on their Instagram reels. But also, I find it very bizarre that this guy called Ralph would ask me to, you know, add him, well, as a follower, because he claimed that he was genuine. And in fact, all his followers, he claimed that they're genuine, but they're actually not. I mean, he's one of about 10 or 12 people at least who, was swearing at me. Oh, just swearing anyway, so, invalidating the claim. So I'm beginning to think, is Ralph really, like, also a troll too in disguise? Again, it seems very strange, weird that he would do that. And also, this Charlie was saying, "Oh, well, you can follow all my followers," and then, like, I think about 2 or 3 weeks later, he suddenly um, blocked, well, stopped me seeing his followers, hid his followers. So again, that's very weird. Why would you give permission and then suddenly he said, "Oh, I'm a digital creator"? Who cares? That wasn't the deal. So something really weird is going on. Um, Now, people have said, uh, should I block Ralph? Well, not really, because I mean, what I should do is make him get the followers now, rather than going through them, because clearly a lot of his followers are not genuine, troll. So that's his job now to convince them. It's not too hard to do, but it is pretty suspicious. There's this other guy called Fred who also was a troll later on. I mean, yes, I know he got in the followers, but he broke his nose wrist. It doesn't really matter to me, Still not gonna be allowed to join back. There's many others too, so I don't know. I'm getting very suspicious of Ralph. The only reason why I haven't blocked him yet is, as I said, because there's a possibility that out of these thousands of followers, that about, well, it's hard to give an estimate, but about maybe 60 to 70 of them are genuine. So that's the only reason why, you know. And in general, I find that it's very hard to get the good quality people. Oh, and of course, there's other issues with people and trolls like Naylor and someone called Cameron Whitty as well, who is also a troll, and Finley. But fortunately, I'm not in that group chat anymore, and I'm glad. But we'll see how it goes. You see, I just want to have a good time with quality people. That's all. Not a lot to ask, and I know it's difficult to get them, but I still have hope, and I will keep trying. And oh yes, and also with Connor and Roger. Well, again, I was thinking of doing a separate video, but I think I'll add it here and said, well, I was pretty surprised that Roger saying, "Oh, I'm gonna break 4 years, no swear and no fap to go viral." I mean, that is just unbelievable. Again, it shows that he's not really a true follower of Christ. Because, if he was, then why would he sacrifice worldly gains anyway, and break all that just to go viral? They're both sins. And, if you promise God, well, I've stopped, fapping and swearing, then, he expects you to keep that promise. I mean, so far, I've maintained my 8.9 years nearly on NoFap and nearly 16 years of no swear. And, come what may, I'm not going to break any of those, just to go viral, or to get rich. I mean, even if I do get rich, we know at what price. It's not worth it. I mean, it's going to have effects on the afterlife, on karma, all this will, at some point, it will turn back and it won't be nice. So, no, I totally disagree with Roger, but, Roger was not really that genuine a person. So, I mean, obviously, I'll try to stop him, but, the choice is his at the end of the day. And the same with Connor. I've done as best as I can as a teacher, but it seems they're just too far gone. Well, as far as I know, I gave them many chances on the live stream to change, to, promise that they weren't going to swear, but, it was the same old nonsense. Like 2, 3 weeks later, they've gone back to this same dirty, disgusting habit. So, I'm losing my patience with them both. That's why they're both banned. Anyway, that's all for tonight. So, we'll see where this goes. And to the rest, just keep doing your no swear and your no fap. Okay, that's all for tonight. Good night. Have a nice weekend.